Hello, what's up, my people? It's your girl Doris, one half of Double D, out here, and I'm still very. Let me not say how I feel because I don't understand what you people did. Anyway, why are you here?
I don't know. Why am I here, my people? Why am I here? It's okay.
Yeah, that was a big surprise even for me,
Yeah.
honestly, because you gave drama from the first day you walked into that house. You were a pack of just a ball of just. I'm here.
Yeah.
What you see is what you're going to get. Very entertaining, very dramatic. Most people thought now this girl has watched this show a lot, and they confirmed it the week of nostalgia where you pretty much got every ex-housemate. Doing like, no wonder this is a strategy. How much of what we saw of you is you, and how much of what we saw was okay? I'm coming to this show. I'm going to be the topic.
Okay, so that is a very wrong narrative. The reason why I was able to remember those housemates is people forget I am an industry person. I have been in the entertainment space since 2017. I worked on radio and I have interviewed some of these people. So that's how I know. And again, sometimes when I rose, I'll be like, wait, okay, so this person won. So this person is this person's friend. And that's how I connected it. I even
Because you used to raise your own last, actually.
yeah, because I was trying to remember, okay, this house, I know Ara, well, some I got wrong and I'm like, that's the one. Because again, I worked on radio and I interviewed some of these people. So that's how I knew, not because I was watching the show. The only time I know I actively watched the show was during Rico's time, rest his soul, and during Elizonam's time, because those are my people. But anything before, after that, I really didn't catch the show.
Okay.
Yeah.
So what we saw was Doris.
What you saw was Doris. So was Doris maybe sometimes amplified.
Yeah.
Sometimes, I would have to reflect and say, my sister is probably crashing out because, I'm just like, but I can't, it's just, the truth is, I always tell people, and I don't know if they believe it, but I'm not very big on pretense. So what you really saw in the house is it's me.
Yeah.
But maybe sometimes amplified because again, people will just unnecessarily trigger you for no reason. I mean, I had an issue with Joanna on Sunday. It looked like a petty thing, but if you look at it, it was more of what's the word now? I forget. But I gave her pins to use on Saturday. I gave her a bunch of pins to use, and then she had given it out to people who had come to her to tell her they were going to ask Doris. And they didn't ask me. It wasn't about the pin. It was about the principle of it. Because I gave you something to be a custodian, that's the word, of. But to return it became a problem. And then she started to say things like, it's just pins. But it wasn't just pins when you needed it for your gilly. And it wasn't just pins when you needed it for your cap. So when you go on to say, oh, but it's just pins, and then Thelma threw in and she said, oh, the way people shout for bare minimum. It wasn't bare minimum when you needed it. It was the most important thing at the time. If not, your look would have not been complete. So it's not just what you say, it's how you say it. So sometimes, yes, I'll react and Denari will just be like, sometimes I stopped myself because of Denari, to be very honest. Yes. So what you saw, like I said, was probably amplified, but sometimes I'll just look at his face. I'm just like, because of this man. God save all of us. So yeah.
Fair enough. You spoke about your sister crashing out. Speaking of crashing out, let's go back to one of the first controversial moments from you for the viewers, the Kola situation.
Yeah.
And you said, oh, he led you on and whatever happened. And he insists that there was no leading you on, that he doesn't understand how being friendly with you meant that he was leading you on. What did you see in particular? Because even some of the viewers were like, did he lead her on? What did he do?
He did.
That made you feel like he led you on?
He did. So I'm going to outline certain things. You people know what couple goals are, yes? The first week, Kola had an Ashoke outfit. And then I said to him, I was like, oh, this Ashoke is so cool. I have an Ashoke. He was like, oh, wear yours. Let's do same look. One. If you look at the sitting position, you see that people who sit close to each other are either couples or friends. Kola would always sit next to me. And he will not only sit next to me, please, people need to roll the tapes. He would sit next to me and want to hold my hands. There was one night we had a long conversation. We laughed so hard, fell on the floor. I think he was wearing a robe. I was wearing like a nightie. I had my foot massage thing on my leg, silicone thing. I remember exactly. And he kept holding my hands. People might have said, oh, even Sultana was like, I thought you guys were a thing. People actually thought we're a thing. Even Denari thought we're a thing. So why would people be thinking we're a thing so why didn't you think you were a thing? He would lift me up sometimes. There was a time I rushed to him and he lifted me up and, basically, what's the word now? Swayed around with me and stuff like that. He will not do that to just a friend, if I'm correct. So the holding of hands, the touching of the hair and all of that, it signals. He might not have known. I don't know, maybe, like I said, maybe he's slow. But, maybe he's slow. But as a woman, there are certain energies you give to me. I would never say Jason J was giving me that energy. Even if we spent the night, a week on the same bed. Do you see the difference? This is somebody who I shared a bed with, but I never thought he was attracted to me. So think about it. Why would I think Kola was attracted to me? The holding of hands, the excessive attention, the always wanting to sit with me and all of that.
So when he now clarified that wasn't what it was, people now wondered, so why did you keep?
Oh, no.
Why wasn't it a conversation to say, okay, that's not what I meant, and you're like, fine. You almost felt like you were upset that he was not acknowledging.
No. So here's my thing. During the welcome party, I remember him saying he went to, and again, we don't say everything. Him saying he wanted to go and speak to Dede, and then Jason came in, And what I remember him saying was that, he doesn't like beauty with no brains, right? So he said he never said that. Good. Now, when he told me about it, it was on a Wednesday into Thursday, and he approached me and he said, "Oh, Doris, you know what? I see that you're upset," because he also spoke to Sabrina, because I went upstairs to cry and then I came back downstairs, and then he had spoken to Sabrina and it was like, that if I'm so upset about the Dede issue, he's not going to chase her. These videos are out there, hopefully. He's not going to chase her because he doesn't want to lose our friendship. And I told him categorically, verbatim, I said, no. Go after her, because I don't want to be the reason why you will not, find the love or whatever. Go after her. And on Thursday, God will bear me witness, I had to tell Sultana, I said, Sultana, you know what? Kola likes this person. I even spoke to Jason. I said, Jason, Kola likes Dede. I don't know what relationship you have with her, but I encouraged him to go after her. Then I went to be Sultana. I said, Sultana, I think you like Jason. You know what? Kola needs some time with Dede. So I orchestrated him even speaking to her that Thursday. So I was already okay with it. What I was not okay with was, one, the fact that it would come off as embarrassing, because it looked like I was now the choice that he had to hold on to until he had the guts to go for her, right? And then the fact that, the optics of it will look weird. So in my mind, I'm like, you know what? Go after her, but with your full chest. Own up to say, I'm really sorry I led you on. Don't tell me you never held my hands. I go sit down by myself, you do your hand like this and hold me, right? Don't say that. Say, I did that, but I didn't know it was coming off that way. That was what was upsetting me, right? And I remember after all the back and forth, I don't know if this was, but I had to have a sit down with Dede. I was like, Dede. Then we realized that, it's the men. The men are the ones having the issues, right? They're trying to butt heads, and they feel like, because me, I'm not scared of having a sit down with anybody in that house. And that's why it's strange when people say, Doris gossips. For everybody who I had a situation with, I sat them down when I was much calmer, and I discussed, and I said, this is where, even Faith, say, this is where you got it wrong with the piano, and we moved past it. So with him, we had a sit down, but he was still standing on, I didn't say this, that's not what happened, I never held your hand. Bro, you did hold my hand multiple times. You pulled me for chat. You wanted, there's so many things that did not scream not giving attention. So the attention you were giving me was so excessive, and you're not giving her any attention. It was only one time I think I ever saw him speak to her, so he never clocked that he liked her.
But how do you feel about him now?
So I told him categorically, you're a pussy. You don't have chest. If you were bold enough, you would have gone for her. You were too scared because Jason is, Jason came with so much oomph. So I was like, I told him categorically multiple times. I was like, first of all, you're a pussy. You know what you want, but you're too scared to go for it because you want to be in everyone's good books. He was supposed to be a strategy. I think even Ruboy clocked it. I was like, Doris, I see what you're doing. Because if people who know my exes would know that Denari is my kind of guy, but I didn't see him on the first week because I was just busy, So Kola was supposed to be a strategy to be maybe we're best friends or whatever. But if he had done a best friend thing, I would have appreciated him more. So now because we had a conversation on Mide's birthday, which was some time last week, I think on a Tuesday. And he was like, oh, he doesn't want us to be friends, that he really liked our friendship, that he has not laughed the way he used to laugh when we're together, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, he said it. He was like, oh, I remember, because we used to laugh and like, and like really like fall on the floor and roll and everything. He was like, he hasn't laughed like that ever since the first week, that he doesn't want to lose the friendship. And I was like, okay, fine. So just be on your own and I'll be on my own. Because there were multiple times when I stuck my neck out for him and Jason, and he kept coming back against me. But now we're okay. I mean, if I see him, sometimes we'll just be like, hey, brother Kola, sleeping prince, and that's it. Like I didn't want to sit with him anymore, because sitting with him would bring up another, and I was taking Denari seriously at the time as well. So I wanted to focus on what was important to me, which was the game and of course my relationship with Denari.
Fair enough. So the reputation was that you were a gossip girl with your girls. It was Sabrina at some point, then Sultana, at least those three, and I think some Gigi as well. It was like, these are the girls who sit down and talk about other people. And I think it got formed very early on, because of, I remember asking you about Mide on like the third show, and you're like, oh, that's how you felt at the time. But there were situations where we saw you talk about what you thought about Mide and Dede at some point. And I remember one particular incident in the kitchen, I think it was you, Sultana, and Sabrina saying, you heard about who she's dating outside of the house, that she doesn't work, how can she afford these things she has, talking about Dede, that you heard she's dating some wealthy older man or something. So I think that was one of the first times people were like, oh, why is she saying this?
Right.
So that reputation sort of now became your thing. Do you think it's a fair analysis of you and your girls? Even up until the last week, there was still a few days, I think it was on Saturday or Friday, you, Isabella, and I think Sultana talking about Kola again. By the dining. So there were just moments like that on pockets that happened.
Great. So I absolutely love this question because I wanted to clarify it. First week, Ibi Fubara, Sultan and I were sat at the garden. And I don't know why, it's so crazy to me when you see the sitting position, you hardly see me actually speak. I might be there. Please, everybody needs to go back. I might just be there sitting now.
The collecting gist.
And be gathering gist. I'm just because I always tell them, even when they're fighting, you see me run and say, hey, I'm a journalist, I need to work already, I want to hear what's going on. But you would never see me start a conversation except it's directly affecting me. Now, Ivy was the one who said she probably is a sugar baby. These were her words. She's probably a sugar baby. And I was like, why would you say that? You know? And she said, oh, haven't you seen her bust down and the clothes she wears? She doesn't have a job. It was Ivy who said that at the garden. So when Koyin, which is crazy to me that Koyin and Dede are close, Dede will crash out when she comes out. Koyin was talking to Sultana and saying, oh, she's very selfish, she's very... So I was in the kitchen with Sabrina because at some point, Sabrina and I became really close. So we're literally just, I think, cleaning the kitchen, and Sultana came to meet us. And Sultana started talking about what Koyin had said about Dede. So I now referred it back. I was like, oh, Ivy actually said this, but it's crazy work. Like, we can have gifts. And then even when Kola and I were talking about it, I was like, you do know that she can have siblings that are probably catering, because I have two elder sisters, and most times, you know, I take their clothes, I take their wigs, I take their bags. Very important. Exactly. So in my mind, I'm like, even with if you go back and watch the Isabella, Sultana, and I was sitting by the edge like this. They were talking about Bright Morgan. When they now said cheesy sticks, I was confused. Please, you need to go back to watch the video. I was like, who is cheesy sticks? Like, cheesy sticks now, they can't call his name, so they had to give him a nickname. So if I was in that gossip group, how come I didn't know what cheesy sticks was? Do you see that? So they were talking and I was just writing. I'm literally the only one, even as hard as I take the wager, and I had to pause for 3 days to do my props. I'm literally the only one amongst the people that were punished recently that had just 12 pages left, because I was literally just writing and I was like, she's 6, and they're like, oh, that I have a crush on him, should I go for Bright? And I was like, oh, Mide. I literally said, Mide is my friend. To be honest, I really don't know if that's a good idea, and he really likes her. And she was like, oh, Isabella was like, oh, she just wanted that to do that for drama. I was like, if it's for drama, I really don't know, but Mide is my girl. I really like Mide, right? Now talking about Mide and Dede, it was Sultana who would always say things like, oh, they're talking about me, they're whispering about me, they're talking about my short skirt, and I addressed that with Dede. I hope the video is out there. When Dede and I sat down, I talked and I was like, and I heard, and that was another thing that was hurting me with Kola. I told Kola verbatim, I said, if it was even any other girl you're going for, but you're going for a girl who doesn't like me, she talks bad about me. That's what I told Kola. So I spoke to Dada and I was like, you guys gossip about me a lot. You guys gossip about my clothes. You guys gossip about my hair. She was like, oh, no. They don't gossip about me. They just talk about random stuff. And I said, okay, no problem. So I'd already had a conversation with Dede, and me and Mide would already gone past that. So when people say, oh, gossip, please go and watch the videos. Literally, I'm always just there. Even yesterday, when we're all getting dressed and some people were bashing Big Soso, I called them into the room. I was like, first of all, Big Soso, that was Sultana and Isabella. They were bashing Big Soso. And I was like, Big Soso is your friend. Big Soso is supposed to be your sister. So they were like, oh, Big Soso went to tell Imisi about something that Isabella had said about Kola, called him a chimpanzee, blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, so I told her, she wanted to continue talking. I was like, let's go into the room because Thelma and Mide are there. So I sat both of them. I was like, look, she's your friend and she's your sister. You guys are from the north. It's best, even if you want to bash her, don't bash her where her enemies are. Because they will carry it, because that's what Thelma said. And now, Shebi is your friend that, because Sultana had almost made my wager efforts futile, basically, by going around saying I had copied the other team's story. And I was so upset about that, right? And she was like, Shebi is your friend that there will always, sisters that will always gossip about each other, right? Even when the whole Zita thing happened and Zita mentioned my name, later on, she had a conversation with, I think, Faith or somebody, and she was like, oh, no, that she did not say Doris was gossiping. She said Doris was sitting there. That's a wrong narrative. I've never sat with Soso before, you know? So I was like, so why did she mention my name? Because now it does not look like I was there, you know, adding on to whatever. I've never spoken about Zita in my entire life. She was one of my first friends. I met her at the audition. When I recognized her, we hit it off. She was one of my first friends. I encouraged her and Damboski. When Damboski left, I was there for her. When she had a swollen leg, I would always grab her water, you know, walk her down the stairs, walk her back up the stairs when, you know, Big Brother calls her. So it was crazy to me that she didn't come to me to ask me. Then now, you did not now clear the narrative. You're not clearing the narrative to just one person. Meanwhile, everybody. So when I went to meet Mide, I was like, Mide, the way you were relaying the story to Joanna, you seemed very excited as Zita insulted me. Again, I'm not afraid to sit anybody in that house down. If I can speak to K-Bobo, I tell him, no. Then who are the rest? K-Bobo is like the biggest person in the house, right, in terms of size, and I'm really small. So I told Mide, I said, I didn't like the way you were. She was like, oh, no. That she was just telling her as gist that when Zita even said that, she was like, oh, Doris is wrong. Doris can never have been there because Doris doesn't do that. So if Mide, who both of us already had an issue, can say that, then I don't know why everyone is calling Doris. If I'm sitting somewhere and people are sat that, and sometimes I'll just be on my own, so that's why I just told Denari, I said, look, anytime you see me, just carry me away from there because I don't want my name in things. Like I would say A, they will grab it, I get it. They will grab it and add on to it. Don't add on to it. Just say exactly what I said and I'll defend it.
What about Gigi? Okay, I think that's enough said.
Gigi had the audacity to call Denari a lapdog or a puppy dog, but she forgot. She said, oh, she needed a friend and the friend was always absent. But she forgot that when she had victory, she didn't think about Denari. And she's so lucky that she went home that day. Because whilst I was sat there, Denari was like,
I think all the viewers agree.
Yeah, because I was like, what's the sauce for the goose?
That would have been a crazy week.
That would have been a crazy week because in my head, I was like, you never thought of that. And it's crazy to me because for every time I'll say, yo, have you checked on Gigi? Because at the week, she was having a bad leg. And I was like, babe, how far have you checked on Gigi? He'll say, yeah. He'll go sit with her. And they would chat. And then twice, I remember she was sitting with him. I was like, are you guys having a private conversation? And then she'll say no. And I'll be like, I'll just sit down and then we'll just talk. And I don't know, it's crazy now that Ivata has had because Ivata and Denari are side bunk mates. And if you ask Ivata will tell you that for every time, Doris will always say, like I was cooking the other day, and Denari will just come. I want to see your face. And I'm like, go and talk to Ivata. Are you okay? Go and talk. And then for every time I wanted him to do something for me, I'll say, Ivata, please, could you excuse me, please? And it was always strange for people in the house, whenever people are talking, and I'm like, Thelma, please excuse me, Joanna. They didn't get it. That's how I was trained. If two people are having a conversation, take excuse. So when Gigi says, oh, I took a friend from her, I didn't take your friend from you. He was trying to get to know me. And that's another reason why Sultana understood that Denari and I were trying to get to know each other. So she kind of gave us space to get to know each other. And even in situations whereby I'm dancing with Denari, you see Sultana say, oh yeah, she wants to dance with my friend. Gigi could have done that. I wouldn't have been offended.
Fair.
Yeah.
But you drank water, so...
I drank water because I had to choose my words.
We'll watch that space
Yeah.
and see how things unfold. You've talked about Denari, but let's just get to that so we can wrap up. Because you said you didn't see him for 1 whole week.
1 week.
A whole
And you know
young man
you know the
with that
crazy-
beard. So when did you see him and what did you see?
Okay, so twice I saw him just hanging around me, and I was like, then I was trying. I can say it now because I'm out of the house. I was trying to cram him. I was like, this one, I'm going to nominate him, and I did. My first nomination, I nominated him. I was like, Lawson and Denari. Crazy work, right? So I would always see him, and I just felt he was a weirdo. Until one day, I think after I was walking into the HOH lounge, and it was like, Doris Okori, and I was like, how does this one even know my name? I was like, oh, I want to talk to you. And I was like, hey, maybe he has said I nominated him or something. So I'm like, oh, let me take a shower. Then we didn't just get to talk. But luckily, we're both on the same team for the wager the next week. And because the first week, it was the first wager, it was the first everything, Jason and I were stressed out. We didn't even enjoy the HOH lounge. We were just working. Even Thelma would always say that she hadn't gotten to sit down with me to get to know me. Tracy said the same thing. Tega and I had a little issue because he called me a secretary that I was always with a pen and a paper. So when Denari, then I noticed that he would always ask me some questions. He would say, is this your wig, your hair? I said, no, I removed it, I showed him. He was like, oh, okay. Then he started asking me from very private, oh, what kind of family, where are you from? Then he was like, when last did you have a relationship? And I was like, and then Jason was telling me, oh, one of my friends like you. I thought it was culture that he was talking about. I was like, which one of your friends? I beg go. I already have one issue with Kola. Please, people should leave me. Let me just face my day.
You really like him?
Yes, I really, really like him. I remember when I lost my chain, Sultana took my chain, but you see the reason why I have issues with Sultana. She took the chain and I cried like for 2 days.
So I'm guessing you are going to explore things going. Do you think it's mutual?
In terms of
like both, do you think okay? Well, you said he shows you
yes,
lots of.
I mean he asked Big Brother to be his wingman. So yeah, I feel like it's serious. I remember on Saturday we had a long conversation about the outside world, about the men that would come, the women that would come, and I was like, no. If I was not interested,
you wouldn't be having this.
I wouldn't even be in it, right? Okay. Because so Denari and I were good. Okay. I can't wait for him to come out of the house. I don't want him to come out early, but I'm like, come out, come out. Yeah.
Double D is coming.
Yes.
Awesome stuff. All right, Doris, the actor. I mean, I guess that's what's next. But I just want to ask, what should we look out for with you? Because I know we're still going to be seeing you on our screens for sure.
Yeah, so obviously acting. I'd registered my company in December, my production company. So I'll be producing actively. Now that I can now make props, I'm going to be sitting on my prop guy like this. I say, this thing, you cannot make it, I can make it too. Yeah, so I'll be actively going into film full time.
Like sort of 360.
Yes.
Acting, producing.
Yes, and I might do a little bit of radio. I might go back because I really miss it. I might go back and do a little bit of radio, but not like actively because radio is a lot of work actually. So yeah.
Final question, quick fire. We always do this. Okay, before I get to the quick fire, who did you tell Big Brother was going to win when he asked you?
I told Big Brother Thelma Lawson.
Do you still think she would win?
I forgot to actually mention because when he asked me for 3 people, I think I said Jason, Thelma, and Faith.
Okay.
I forgot to add Imisi to that list. So those are my 4 people. And now, I haven't really gone into the world, obviously, yet. But I feel more like now, it's like Imisi and Faith. Yeah, like it's a,
I think that's where it is.
Yeah, I feel like that's where it is.
Thanks for being on this show and thanks for being absolutely amazing.
Thank you for having me.
Ladies and gentlemen, Doris.